Good afternoon, Alan Vandenberg here. Another episode of EQ for You, episode number 7. Today's topic is going to be Mark Zuckerberg, leadership, and the company culture. So it should be a lot of fun. Hopefully you'll stay tuned. Just wanted to mention that we're operating off of this idea that 75% of a person or team success is not their IQ. So before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to mention that do you have a book out? It's brand new, launched in February. It's called EQ Killed the Radio Star, How Emotional Intelligence Can Crush or Crash Your Organization. It looks like that. It's available at alanvandenberg.com, amazon.com, or barnesandnoble.com. And just to let you know, my publisher said that the best time to launch a book was during a pandemic. Absolutely, they did not say that, but that's what I'm believing. So there we go. So if you purchased the book, I appreciate it very much. If you've not, go out and check it out. Would love to autograph one and send it to you if you buy it off of alanvandenberg.com. So today's topic, we're going to get into EQ for You. Today's topic is Mark Zuckerberg, leadership, and the company culture. So last week, I was watching CNBC early in the morning, and Mark Zuckerberg did an interview on CNBC talking about his vision for remote workers within Facebook. And he stated that 50% of Facebook workers will be working remotely in the next 5 to 10 years. So obviously there's lots of positives around remote working, global workforce, working from home, you can work from anywhere, retention, when someone needs to move to a different town and there's no corporate office with remote working, they could stay working with the company. Less commuting, obviously, most of us over the last couple months have done a lot less commuting for sure. These are all good positives for working remotely for sure. But as he was talking, I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, what about the other 50% who are not working remotely? So why is that? So as he continued through the interview, I thought it was interesting that Mark Zuckerberg gave some interesting insights that totally correlate to this idea of 75-25 EQ, IQ model. And so as he was talking, Mark talked about new employees and younger employees right out of college would not immediately go to a work from home schedule. We need to work in an office environment in the early days and months to learn the company culture, and that's kind of what he was talking about. Mark said more experienced employees would be able to work from home, and I'm thinking, well, why is that? And he said because they had learned the culture, they know their expectations, and more importantly, they had built the relationships that they need to be successful working remotely. All of these are EQ items. And so my experience as a leadership coach for more than a decade is when we were able to take the first few months and help integrate new leaders into the organization and teach them the culture and build that relationship that they needed, they were more successful. And of course, this wasn't working remotely, but still it does correlate for sure. When talking about senior leaders, interestingly enough, Mark Zuckerberg said he personally could never work 100% virtually. And it was like, wow, is he really saying this? And he said yes. And the reason why he stated was that he needed to meet face-to-face with customers, with employees. People need to see leaders in person. And it was just very interesting because I know everybody's talking about this remote working thing, and I know it's going to end up that we're going to be doing some of that. But could you imagine having a senior level meeting and it's all virtual? Now, I know that's happened in the last couple of months, because we've had to do that. But not sure about you, but my experience is that the relationships that are formed, which is all EQ, during an on-site or an off-site senior level event are typically much more valuable than a strategy conversation, which is an IQ, which you could do in an email. And so I just thought it was very interesting that Mark was taking this kind of interesting way of talking about EQ and IQ at Facebook and how he was explaining the importance of EQ and relationship building inside of Facebook. So as a leadership coach, I do believe that the future of work will be some sort of hybrid. I think a few days in the office, a few days at home, working from home, working remotely is going to be a lot more common than it was certainly 3 or 4 months ago, for sure. But it is interesting to hear from Mark, and that he acknowledged that how important it is for him as a leader and his leadership role, and to the organization like Facebook, how important EQ was. So here are a few of my takeaways from the Mark Zuckerberg interview. I will put out a link on the interview so you can kind of see it. There's a long version, and then where he's talking about new and senior leaders. I'll send a link on that. So here's a few of my takeaways from the Mark Zuckerberg interview on CNBC. Relationships are like a T account in finance. Every interaction that you have with a person, either virtually or in person, either adds to or takes away from that account. I first learned from this from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People many years ago. But it's very interesting that it continues to play true today, the T account. Leadership engagement face-to-face is almost impossible to replace with a virtual meeting. And here's one of the things that I've been noticing a lot is virtual meetings are great to talk about topics. For relationship building, it's a lot tougher. And a lot of times what I've seen in my experience is that problems get solved after meetings and before meetings and in the hallway, and those interactions and relationships and the things outside of the agenda are where I think virtual meetings, it's very difficult to replace that piece. And then for leaders, your employees are mostly observing your EQ skills, not your IQ skills. How you interact, how you, are you interested in them? Do you appreciate and recognize them? And I know you can do that virtually, but do you appreciate and recognize them? Are you a collaborator? Are you helping them by coaching them, or are you just telling them what to do? And all of that list I just mentioned are all EQ skills that leaders work on every single day. So I hope this was helpful for you. I know that remote working is going to be more part of our life than it was 3 months ago, for sure. But I do believe also too that EQ is going to play an even larger role as people interact less and less face-to-face going forward. It's going to be a huge part of how your team is successful and how you are successful, and that is recognizing that 75% of your success is not your IQ skills, it is your EQ skills, relationship building, and interacting and correlating with people every single day. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, Alan Vandenberg, please visit me at alanvandenberg.com. Look me up on the different social media avenues. I would love to stay in contact with you. Shoot me a message. I would love to hear what your thoughts are around this topic of remote working in correlation to EQ. All right, have a great day. Thanks.